Say that again.
Is it your intention to return?
I've told everybody during the course of the playoffs that we would discuss my contract situation and my permanence and impermanence with this basketball club when the season ended. And I think there's still some time left here before I can really gratefully thank you all for your patience and say that, in a few days, we'll be able to meet and talk this over and get an idea of what's going on. And, obviously I'll let you all know the first thing I get the idea of what direction we're going to go in this particular thing. But I think right now, it's time to celebrate.
Phil, do you agree with Michael that Scotty was as valuable as he was to this championship?
A lot of people watch who scores, and that's wonderful. Michael is one of the greatest scorers that I've ever seen this game, but Scotty's defense was a one-man wrecking crew. And, people that see the game as a whole see that what he does on the basketball court. He plays 48 feet at every position, rebounds, delivers the basketball, organizes the offense, and puts in a few of his own to boot. So, he really picked this up, particularly on Wednesday night when Michael couldn't play a whole lot of defense and could do the offensive end. Scotty really delivered for us. And they're such a tag team that it's really a joy to watch them play, and I appreciate every effort they give out there in the floor.
Okay, last question right here.
Phil, you've seen all of Michael's other final chef d'oeuvres. Is this his finest masterpiece in your opinion?
The very first one against Los Angeles was absolutely outstanding. I don't know what he averaged, but I imagine he averaged 38 or something. I think it was 40, actually, in that series. But in that very first series, in the fifth game against the Lakers, Michael had to deliver the ball like he delivered it tonight to Steve Kerr, to John Paxson, to help us win, and that was the ultimate end of it. The teams can finally find a way in the crunch to play a superstar, and when he finds his teammates and they rely and come through and play the team game, that's what makes you championships. And Michael showed that championship level by moving that ball on tonight to Steve because he knew they were doubling and he knew where to go with it, and that awareness is what won us that championship.
Okay, thank you, Coach Jackson. Michael Jordan will be the interviewer next.
Coach Phil Jackson, drained and drenched as if he played the game.
We don't know whether that was sweat. We don't know if it was champagne. But we do know that Jerry Ower in Wrigleyville is covered in beer. He's a pretty good sport there, but he moved outside the bar where the fans are now, hopefully a little drier, but equally as happy. Jerry?
I am in the middle of the madness here at Addison and Clark. Yes, there is finally joy in Wrigleyville. And we're with some of the fans, the Bills fan here. Can you believe they did it? They're awesome. We knew we could do it.
This finals accomplishment, maybe your greatest, all things considered.
No, when we get 6, it's going to be bigger. They just keep getting bigger and bigger as we keep winning and winning.
They sure do keep getting bigger and bigger. Let's go to Michael Jordan, the hero of this game.
Chicago. I'm very happy for the organization. I'm very happy for the players. Frank Hamlin, Brian Williams, everybody that never has won them before. I dedicated myself and my efforts to make sure that they experience this whole attitude of being a champion, being the best in the world. It's a great feeling. I'm tired. I'm weak. But I got a whole summer to recuperate. It looked very dim early in the game. I was a little frustrated because we kept getting so close to the hill and the mountain, and we just couldn't get over it. We couldn't find a call. We couldn't get a loose ball to get us over the hump. And, I went and sit down, and somehow they found a way to get the lead. And once we got the lead, I was ready to get back in there and do my best to maintain that. And I just needed, I think Scotty and I just needed a little help to get ourselves in front, so we could fight off a heck of a charge by the Utah Jazz. I mean, they came in with a lot of heart, a lot of desire. Malone, Stockton, Hornacek, Brian Russell, not Byron, Brian, came in, and they gave us a run for our money. But we persevered, and I'm happy to be at this podium and just knowing that we're champions for the 5th time.
Michael, start the 4th. There were 4 reserves to start the 4th. Scotty was the only starter out there, and everybody's kind of been complaining about bench play throughout this series. How telling is it that Steve Kerr was the guy who hit a jumper, hit the shot to put you ahead by 1, hit the winning shot?
Steve's been fighting with himself because of Game 4. He missed a three-pointer, and he went back to his room. He don't even know this. His wife told me that he was very frustrated. He kept his head in a pillow for hours because he let the team down to some degree, because everyone knows he's probably one of the best shooters in the game. And he had an opportunity to put us up and give us a big lift. And he was very disappointed. And when Phil drew up the play at the end, which, as everybody in the gym, everybody on TV knew it was coming to me, I looked to Steve and I said, hey, this is your chance, because I know Stockton's going to come over and help, and I'm going to come to you. And he said, give me the ball. So, I mean, that's typical John Paxson. You know, I used to play with John Paxson. John Paxson used to say the same thing. And I think tonight, Steve Kerr earned his wings, you know, from my perspective, you know, because I had faith in him and he believed in himself, and I passed him the ball and he knocked the shot down. And I'm glad he was able to redeem himself, because if he'd have missed that shot, I don't think he could have slept all summer long. And I'm very happy for Steve Kerr.
Michael, you talked how you were tired, how you were weak. What have the last couple of days been like? You've never really made a public statement as what you went through over the last few days.
It's just been a fight, you know. It's all guts, deep down, determination, you know, what your motives are, what your ambitions were from the beginning. You know, it's been a lot of soul searching in terms of, it's easy to sit back and say, well, I've given my best. You know, I'm tired. You know, somebody else got to do it or whatever. I didn't take that approach. I thought positively and said, whatever I could do, every little inch of energy that I have, I'm going to try to provide for this team. I mean, they follow Scotty in my lead, and as well as Phil's lead, and Dennis in certain situations. And if you give up, then they give up. You know, so I didn't want to give up. You know, no matter how sick I was, or how tired I was, or how, you know, low on energy I was, I felt an obligation, you know, to my team, to the city of Chicago, to go out and give that extra effort so that we could be here for the 5th championship. You know, I've dedicated myself to, you know, to Frank Hamlin and Brian Williams, to other players that get on my back, we're going to win a championship, or get on Scotty's back, we're going to win another championship. We're going to make sure you experience what it takes to be a champion.
Michael, it seemed to be a special moment between you and Scotty when they gave you the MVP award. Can you describe what you were thinking and what your emotions were then?
You know, when I was here before I retired, I overshadowed Scotty a lot. You know, and he didn't get the recognition that he truly deserved. You know what I mean? And he's matured since I've been around, and when I stepped away, he matured even more, because he understood what I was shelving him from. You know, the pressure and the press and the expectations that he had to deal with being a star. And when I'm back, he shouldn't get any less of an attention than if I was gone. And when I won the MVP, and I would hold true to my word, I would take the trophy. He can have the car. I'm going to make sure he gets the car. I mean, because he's like a little brother to me, and he's prospered and he's moved along. And, you know, from a financial standpoint, from a contract standpoint, he's locked in. And he's very deserving of the same $30 million, 30, whatever I get in the next coming year. He's very deserving of the same contract. I mean, because he put forth the effort every single night. He goes through the pain, and we work out every day. He's joined me in working out every day to stay healthy and to get out here and provide for this organization and this city, so that we can be healthy and we can continue to be champions. So, I mean, that's what brothers do. We share our success, and that's what I'm doing to him. You know, I just want the trophy. I got enough cars. He can have the Nissan.
Michael, over to your left. Michael, earlier in the week you were talking about how how easy it is for a home crowd to cheer the team when you're up 10 or 15 points. It's a lot harder when the team is down. Talk about the final push that the crowd gave you tonight as you overtook in the score.
Well, the crowd here in Chicago took a hit. The fans took a hit because everybody said that they sit on their hand, they got high expectations, whatever. So what? They should have high expectations. We spoil them, and we want to continue to spoil them. Sure, Utah's crowd is very, very loud, and they experience something that they've never experienced. You can expect that, you know. But Chicago fans are the best fans to play for. You know, they've stuck with me ever since I've been here in '84. I never give up on them. We've gone from the bottom to the top as a tandem, as a team. And I never give up on Chicago fans. And tonight, they inspired all of us. You know, when we got the opportunity and they saw that we were getting over that hill, you know, we could feel that. I felt chill bumps, you know, from their cheers. You know, and I think everybody did. And that gave us the energy to push that extra step so that we could be champions all over again.
Okay, we're going to take 2 more questions.
Michael, obviously, in the wake of this incredible celebration, there'll be some very difficult business decisions for
Sure.
Jerry Reinsdorf. Can you please, as to your best ability, lay out the scenario that you would like to see unfold and the one that you expect to unfold because of money considerations, particularly involving Scottie Pippen's future?
Well, you want me to be GM, I guess. Take Jerry Krause's position. Well, I think this team is entitled to an opportunity to continue to be successful. Sure, business has got to come involved. I'm not saying Jerry Reinsdorf is the richest guy in the world. I'm not saying that all his partners can financially support what this team needs to maintain or be successful. But we've done a lot for this organization, and we've put it in a situation where it could be highly valuable. When I first came here, and I'm pretty sure everybody can tell you that the Bulls team was worth probably $13 million, 15, 16, 17 million dollars. Now it's worth $150 million. So the profits have been made over the years. What we gain now in trying to keep this team together and be successful, we paid for over 6, 7, 8, 10 years. That has to have some consideration, some sense of loyalty. You know, to myself, to Scottie, to Phil, even to the guys who, you know, given themselves over the last 2 years, or even Dennis, with all the different colors that he may wear in his hair or his dresses or whatever. We're entitled to defend what we have until we lose it. If we lose it, then you look at it and you say, okay, let's change. Let's just go through a rebuilding. No one's guaranteeing rebuilding is going to be 2 or 3, 4, 5 years. Cubs have been rebuilding for 42 years. And that's something that you have to look at, you know, from a business aspect. So if you want to look at this from a business thing, have a sense of respect for the people who have laid the groundwork so that you can be a profitable organization. And I'm not trying to twist Jerry Reinsdorf's arm. It sounds like it, though. But I like to see us defend what we have attained over the last 5 out of 7 years, which is a championship team. And I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe he has to mortgage his home or leverage the team against whatever bank notes that he may have. But I think we are entitled to defend what we have. And Phil should be the head coach. And I shouldn't be put in a position to have to make a choice to play for another coach other than Phil Jackson. Simple as that. You know, sadly as it may be, I have choices. You know, and I will not choose to play for another coach. I chose to play for Phil Jackson and to finish Scottie Pippen's contract out and let him have an opportunity to have the same type of choices. Because he's earned it, and I've earned it, and Phil's earned it, and the city of Chicago has earned it. For years we've been, wait till next year, wait till next year. Now we're 5 out of 7 years champions. That means a lot. For once, don't look at the bottom line. Look at the joy of this night and every night that we have won a championship, and the enjoyment that you have put together an unbelievable organization that's been champions for 5 out of 7 years.
You want Rodman back?
Sure. His dresses doesn't bother me. His hair doesn't bother me. Sure, I mean, he's going to go wacko every now and then. We've come to live with that. We've come to accept that. But you can't find another player on the basketball court that works just as hard as Dennis Rodman. Gives 110%, dives at loose balls, even if he can't get them. That's Dennis Rodman. So I don't have a problem with Dennis, you know, and I don't think Phil does. I don't think Dennis does. I mean, I don't think Scottie does. We've been able to control him to some degree. And look, we're here for champions back to back. You guys may love him. He may say a lot of crazy things, and David Stern may find him $50,000. The guy doesn't care about money.
So when you sit down with Jerry, will express to him that it's a
Which Jerry you asked me to sit down with?
either one.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. We're going to take
I got it. Go ahead.
So it'll be important. Thank you. It'll be important to you to have him back, and you'll let owners.
Sure. Dennis already said he'd play for free, so money's not an issue. He makes more money off the court, supposedly. I don't know.
Okay, we're going to have to conclude the interview session. Thank you, Michael.
I enjoyed being here with you guys.
Okay, we're going to have Karl Malone and John Stockton together next. We ask for respect.
I'm Bill Weir, live in the Bulls locker room. Ron Harper alongside, sitting here with his family, enjoying the fruits of success. How does it feel, first of all?
This definitely felt good. I thought last season felt good, but this season felt good too. I definitely think that this is the best feeling in the world. Growing up as a kid, you see teams with championship playing in the league for so long and not having championship. Now I have 2 championships, and there's some great players in this league that don't have no championship.
What did you say to Steve Kerr after he hit that shot?
Hey, I gave him a hug. We jumped up and down. We jumped up and down, and I said we came a long way from Cleveland Cavaliers, and this is a great feeling.
Can you describe that last shot? What was going through your mind? Where were you?
Well, we diagrammed for MJ to drive, and the whole team was to him, and he passed it off to Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr had a tough game 4, but he made some key shots tonight. He redeemed himself. And Steve felt good about himself, and I told him, I said, hey, you cannot ever lower your head because in order to succeed, somebody must fail. And game 4, he felt bad, but tonight he made some key shots for us.
Ron, how special is this?
We're going to kick it back inside to the podium right now. John Stockton at the microphone.
Free throws in the first half.
I just never got into a rhythm. You know, and like I said, I didn't make them, and I didn't get into a rhythm. I didn't really play well the whole series. So what else can you say? You know, I'm disappointed, but it's not the end of the world, and I'm not going to approach it like that. And like I said, you make them, and it's great, and you miss them, it's not so good. So.
Karl or John, a lot of the focus is on the future of the Bulls. You know, are they going to break up? But you guys have some questions yourselves as far as free agents on the team. I'd like to know what do you think will happen as far as keeping the team together, and what would you like to see happen?
Well, I don't really know. I think obviously we do have some free agents, and I think everybody got some decisions to make. Obviously, we're not management, we're players, and we would like to have the guys back, but we'll see what happens.
Either John or Karl, on the inbounds pass that Brian Russell threw, what was y'all trying to do on that play, and what happened, do you think?
Well, like any player, there's a lot of options. I think generally the idea was that I was supposed to get the ball, and just didn't really have time to develop to where I could get open. And Brian threw it across court with Shandon moving away, and that left room for Scotty, I think it was, to slide in there and steal it.
Clearly, John Stockton, Karl Malone, very disappointed.
As well they should be. But holding their heads up very high. Let's go back to Bill Weir, who is in the locker room. Hello, Bill.
Thank you, Steve. I'm here with local boy makes good for the second straight year, Collins High grad Randy Brown. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much. This is a great moment. I'm on cloud 9 right now, and it's like a dream come true to win 2 championships in 2 years in my hometown, and I'm just on cloud 9 right now.
Now, last year you went for the basketball at the very end. Michael took it for himself. Special moment between him and his father. How'd you do tonight?
This year I didn't even go for the ball. I wanted it, but TK dunked it and somebody grabbed it. But you know, the win itself was great, and I'm just happy for the guys there. They worked hard all year, and we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish.
Everyone on the planet knew Michael was going to take that final shot, except probably Michael and Steve Kerr. What was going on there?
Well, all series, Michael telling Steve to stay confident. You know, he was going to find him, and it happened to be tonight. Steve was wide open, and we're so happy for him that he knocked that shot down, and he's on cloud 9. It was great. It's a great pass from Michael.
Randy, did you ever think when you were growing up and you were living in Chicago and watching the Bulls that you get to win 2 championships with your team?
To win 2 championships is enough in its own. I never thought I'd wear a Bulls uniform. You know, growing up on the West Side, you know, you have so many expectations and everything, and playing in the NBA, I think is great in itself, and playing in my hometown, it makes it even better.
Was there ever a point where you said absolutely no Game 7?
We didn't want a Game 7. We were confident. We were at home. We definitely we didn't want to play on Father's Day, and you know, we just wanted to put them away. You know, hats off to Utah. They're a great team, and they're going to be reckoned with.
Randy, how much did it mean to you to get those important minutes in the second half of this game?
Well, it's important whenever I play, Lou. And you know, in the whole series, I stayed ready, even though the minutes weren't there. I stayed prepared. I wouldn't get down, and I'm just happy right now. And instead of practicing 4 hours in this summer, I'll practice 4.5 and get myself ready for next year.
There you go. Randy Brown. We're going to send it back to the studio right now, see if we can't dig somebody up in this steamy and chaotic locker room.
Thanks, Bill.
If you see Steve Kerr, let us know. We'd like to hear from him.
I got all points bulletin out for him.
Hey, Bill, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
We're back with Rich King. We saw a very poignant shot of Michael walking off the court. He leans over and he gives Jerry Reinsdorf a hug and he says something to him. What do you think
Well, they've had a good relationship over the years, and Michael is very candid tonight in his comments about how the team should, the future of the team, what should be. I think they'll all be back. Again, I have reservations about Rob, and Michael seems to want him back. Yeah. But let's face it, Michael Jordan, you can't really expect anybody to give up on Michael Jordan this time. Jerry Reinsdorf really has to get him back. And that means Jackson's back. That means Pippen's back. Now, money is a problem. Michael was right on it when he said, there's a lot of money at stake here. Michael will make 36 if he renegotiates Pippen's contract. That's up in the air. That's a lot of money there. Jackson wants a lot of money. There's only so much money you have. I mean, let's face it. But I think he has enough money to go around, though. Yeah. We'll see. Okay, Scottie Pippen, of course. Michael profuse in his praise of Scottie. Let's hear what Scottie had to say after tonight's big win.
I feel good about everybody coming back. You know, I think Dennis went through a gutty effort, playing in his foul, not being healthy, not getting back full strength. So I look for everybody, look forward to come back and be as strong as we were 2 years ago.
I was just here for the last 3 months, but you know, I struggled and sweated just as hard with them, and you know, I'm thankful for you know, them opening their arms to me and you know, and give me a chance to help them as I did.
Well, what a moment for Brian Williams. Joins the team late in the season. Here he is in the championship club in the celebration, so you got to feel good for a guy like that.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, too.
He's a good guy, and boy, I tell you, this whole thing, you know, Karl Malone, you know, I saw him earlier, 21 points, 7 of 15 from the floor, 7 of 15 from the free throw line. He had a terrible series, and MVP in the league, of course, and let's face it, it should have been Jordan. We all know that, but still, you got to feel bad for him, but he deserved to feel bad because he had a terrible series. I don't know what was wrong with him.
Okay, we understand Scottie Pippen's now at the podium. Let's join Scottie live, see what he has to say.
And the way you covered offensively, defensively, and was a disruptive force. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that's been something that, you know, myself and Phil, we have a good understanding from a defensive standpoint to let me roam, not just against this team, against other teams who really utilize their point guard to really run the offense. John is a great orchestrator of the offense, and we felt much more comfortable defending this team when we were able to take the ball out of his hand. And that's pretty much what I was trying to do tonight. They pretty much executed a lot better than they did in the past games when I ran and tried to scramble their offense. They made some big plays. Shannon Anderson got some balls right there at the basket. If he finished those baskets and make the basket, it's a big difference in how the outcome of the game was. But I was able to utilize that and use it to our advantage. I try to take advantage of my defensive ability, no matter who I'm guarding, to try to take a team out of their offense, and that's something that we had to do in this series because the Jazz execute offensively so well that they're going to milk the shot clock. They're going to make you play defense the whole 24 seconds, and they're going to get a good shot out of it.
Scottie, I got two right here. How big was that three that Buechler threw in at the end of the third? And is there a point margin you guys feel comfortable with, like if it's below 10 or something, we'll be able to come back? Is there something? I mean, it seems like y'all are just very calm.
I think as long as we feel like that they're on the basketball court, we feel like we have a chance to win, no matter what the score is or what. We feel like that we're going to step up. they're going to have to stop our surge sooner or later. I have to give credit to Phil, who really stuck myself, Judd, Tony, Steve, and Brian out there, guys who were going to run the offense, make them have to work. And I think that was a change of the whole game, gave us some momentum. But the shot that Judd made was a big shot. It was probably the biggest shot of the ball game, even overlooking the shot that Steve made right at the end. It was a big shot because we pretty much had turned the ball over. He came up with the steal. He knocked the three-pointer down, and it really got the crowd going, which I think gave us the big lift to overcome them tonight.
Scotty, there's a lot of question marks about what's going to happen with this team next season. If you could look past the euphoria of tonight about yourself, how comfortable are you with the idea of returning here next year and not being finishing out your contract here?
I feel pretty comfortable. I had my hands, my fingers, and everything crossed that we were going to win the championship and everybody will be back and we'll be a happy family again. So I feel pretty good about our chances of keeping this ball club together. I think that we're going to come back much stronger than we were this season. I think due to the fact that we played such a long season, and myself and Tony going through the Olympics, the injuries that Tony dealt with really hampered him. Didn't allow us to see the 96 six-man of the year really step forward again. And even though he had to play through some difficult times, we still feel like that we still have the best basketball team in the league. So hopefully Michael, Dennis, Phil, and whatever free agent we have will be back. I don't know what's the question with Brian Williams, but he was a big acquisition to our basketball club. I don't think we could have won this without his help, his big body, his intensity.
You're listening to Scottie Pippen talking about he hopes the family will be back again next year, and I can tell you fans, I'm sure, hope the very same thing.
And if Michael Jordan has anything to say about it, they will be back together, maybe even with Dennis Rodman. Throughout the night, we've been going to Robin Baumgarten in Skycam 9, who's been all over this city. She's right now covering some sort of activity in the street. Robin, where are you?
We're on the west side of the city, just south of Humboldt Park, Steve. We're actually on, I believe it's Albany Street, a little bit south of Chicago Avenue. We saw tons of people standing on the street.
Within themselves.
Agglomerated here.
Down to, if we can get a younger player, 10 years younger, Scottie Pippen can be gone in a heartbeat.
Well, if you can find someone out there that can do the things that I do on the basketball court, then, you know, I don't question his decision. But right now, I think in my position, what I bring to the game, I'm the greatest out there. And one day, if it ever happens, I want to be the greatest to ever play my position, because I feel like that I give the full effort. I play hard on both ends of the court, and there's nothing else for me to do. I mean, the power is in their hands. They're in control of wherever I'm able to finish my career this next season. So I think as a team, we've made a stand. We put ourselves in a position that we want the opportunity to keep this ball club together. We want an opportunity to show that we're the greatest of all time. And the only way we can continue to prove that is to keep us together. There was a lot of negative things written about our basketball club, that myself or Michael was carrying the team, or we were just the Jordanaires. But we realized, and I realized that throughout my career, and no matter how long we've had to deal with the situation that we were coattailing Michael or whatever, we're a great basketball team. And no matter how many points Michael scored, it was a team effort. And we're hoping and praying that we can continue that destiny, that there's no one that's going to knock us off right now.
Scotty, of the 6 games, 5 of them were close and could have gone either way. Did Utah give you your toughest run of all the 5 championship series?
I would have to say yes. They're a very disciplined basketball club. They all have that mentality of a Jerry Salone type. They're very tough. They're mentally strong. They execute down the stretch. They don't panic. And that's what made this series so difficult. Even the young players, and Byron Russell and Shannon Anderson, we never could make them crack or do anything under the pressure. They stayed pretty poised. And, you know, I have to give them credit. They gave us a great series. Tonight's game, I'm sure we kept all our fans and supporters on the edge of their seats because they made it very difficult. We never had control of this game, period. Even when we had a 2-point lead and they had the ball the last 5 seconds, we never felt like that we had control of the basketball game. I mean, it was like overtime or the Jazz were going to win with a last-second shot. So they definitely gave us our money's worth. Carl, John, they're great players, they're great professionals. Jeff Hornacek, they have a great young nucleus and the younger players that they have on the team, and they really gave us a run, and I look forward to seeing them here again.
Okay, one last question.
You've been with Michael through all the good times and the bad times, Scotty. How has this series, I guess in particular the shot he made in Game 1 and his play in Game 5, raised his legacy to a whole nother level?
Michael's legacy continues to go. I mean, as long as he plays the game, he's going to amaze us no matter what, because he has the ability to take control of a game, to make the big shot, to make the big play as he did tonight by giving the ball up to Steve. You know, I just see no end of the rainbow for a guy of Michael's caliber. Physically, he's probably as healthy and physically ready as a 25-year-old player. You know, we never feel like that he's going to meet his top potential. I mean, he's the guy that continues to rise no matter what's out there, what there is for him to overcome. He's been able to overcome it. And as I said throughout the regular season, Karl Malone won the MVP, but Michael is still the MVP of this league. And no matter how you look at it, he's the greatest player. He's the greatest one to ever play this game, and he proves it night in and night out.
Okay, thank you, Scotty.
Thank you, guys. It's been a great season.
No one played more minutes in the 97 NBA Finals than Scottie Pippen. 257 minutes, one more than Michael Jordan. Pippen averaged 20 points in the series, but Michael gets the series MVP.
Well, he's that type of shooter, and we got the ball in the hands of a guy that I was very happy for Steve because he delivered when everything was on the line.
And he had struggled before that.
Yeah, but, you know, in a series, they know what Steve Kerr's all about. They know that he is a shooter. He is a great player, you know, that can shoot the perimeter shot, and they paid attention to him. And Michael drew that crowd, and, you know, obviously you got to deliver when the ball's put in your hands, and Steve did.
We appreciate you stopping by, Coach. Congratulations on another one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Jimmy Rogers, assistant coach for the Bulls. We're going to search. Steve Kerr apparently is at the podium, or will be at some point. We'll see who we can find in just a second. We'll send it back to the studio.
Combined made it a real grind. You know, if you think about it, we've been playing all out for 18 out of the last 21 months, and with barely a rest, we've won a lot of games, and it's been a grueling season. It's been a real grind. Last year was so much fun, and I wouldn't characterize this year as fun. It was much more of a grind, but that makes it that much more satisfying.
Steve, Mike told a story about the night you missed the shot and you stayed in the pillow and didn't felt bad about you. Can you talk about the redemptive quality of this shot tonight?
Well, I had a bad series. I didn't play well. But the thing I kept telling myself the last few days was there's still more games to be played. And, you know, we were up 3-2 coming in here, and I had every reason to be upbeat. You know, we had 2 shots at home to win this championship, and I wasn't about to let some missed shots in Utah get me down, although, you know, I was down for a little while in Salt Lake. But I had a feeling something good was going to happen tonight, and I think I finally relaxed a little more and, you know, just went out and played. And I think in Utah I was thinking too much about my shot.
Okay. Steve, you had a good open look at that basket. I mean, can you take us through it? Because I guess Jordan was the number one guy and then Pippen. But were you surprised you were that open when you took that shot?
Not really, because, you know, Michael won game 1 in the same situation. We knew they weren't going to let him do it again. And I had a feeling Stockton was going to leave me. He's been leaving me quite a bit this series, and I haven't made him pay. So Michael turned to me during the timeout. I saw him thinking for a long time. He was just kind of sitting there thinking about what was going on, and finally he turned to me and he said, "You be ready. Stockton's going to come off of you." And I said, "I'll be ready. I'll knock it down." And I was like, "Will I?" But I told him that I was going to do it, and I haven't made many this series. Judd Bushler told me after the game, he came up, he's yelling, "You made the big one." And I said, "It's a good thing because I missed all the little ones, And I'm just so thankful to be able to be a teammate of Michael's, because, this opportunity would never have presented itself without, Michael's presence. I mean, he's so unbelievable and he's so good that he draws so much attention. And his excellence gave me the chance to hit the game-winning shot in the NBA Finals. I mean, what a thrill, and I owe him everything.
Steve, you talked just a moment ago about the fact that last year was a real good ride for you guys, and this year was more of a grind. Talk about your experience in repeating for the first time and really trying to relate that to what maybe Phil, Michael, and Scotty were trying to get to you about repeating and defending.
Well, first of all, I can understand why Michael retired after that third one. I can't even imagine what another run would be like physically and mentally. It's so grueling. And this has just been 2 for me. But here we go again. We'll have 3 months off and we'll get right back, right back at it. And it's just very demanding. I mean, especially on this team with the attraction of the superstars that we have. It's just a real grind. And like I said, last year was so much fun. It was brand new for a lot of us. And this year it was a time to repeat, and it was a very tough, grinding year, but it's been, awfully rewarding.
Steve, in your celebration with the teammates, there's often a new rallying cry. Who was the first to bring up repeat the three-peat?
You. Believe me, we are not thinking anything about next year at this point.
Steve, speaking of next year,
here we go.
Jerry Reinsdorf obviously has some very tough decisions to make, but really, how tough are those decisions? I mean, with Michael, with Phil, and then with Scotty being a free agent in one more year, are these really tough decisions that he must weigh?
To me, the only tough decision is Dennis. They're going to evaluate that situation and try to figure out if we can win it again, without him. Dennis obviously went through a lot this year, and management was very fed up with him. The other guys, how can you not re-sign Michael and Phil, and how could you possibly trade Scottie Pippen? Scottie is one of the great players ever to play this game, and I don't know if people realize how good he is. I think he's finally gotten his due the last couple of years. He's always been in Michael's shadow, but he is a one-man wrecking crew defensively. He carried us defensively in this series. People told me the other night I did a good job defensively on Stockton. I didn't do anything. I just waited for Scotty to come double team and take the ball out of his hands. And so, Scotty is an unbelievable player, and he's got to be a Bull for life. How could you ever see Scottie Pippen in another jersey? I can't imagine it. So to me, the decisions are not difficult. You bring Michael, Scotty, Phil back, and the question mark obviously is Dennis, and we'll see what they want to do with him. Personally, I'd love to see him back because I love Dennis, and he's a huge part of our team.
Steve, early in the fourth quarter, you guys went on a 10-0 run. Can you talk about, one, the fact you guys did that without Michael, and then the play where Judd gives you a quick scoop? It looks like you guys have practiced that a million times before.
Well, I was actually thinking a little bit about the Bulls' game against Portland in '92 when they were down about 16 or 17. They had played a terrible game to that point, and the reserves came in and brought them back. And that game flashed through my mind, and I thought, now's our chance, because the reserves really had been outplayed. I think we had been outplayed by Utah in this series. I mean, Howard Isley was unbelievable out there. Craig Foster. These guys were really outplaying us. And I kind of thought before the fourth quarter started, I thought, this is our chance. And sure enough, it worked. And sometimes that's what happens is when Michael goes out of the game, we stop relying on him, obviously, because he's on the bench, and we start moving the ball. And that's what happened. We started moving the ball, getting a little better rhythm, and our crowd picked us up as well.
Okay, we'll take one last question over there.
Steve, during the tough time of the playoff for you, what advice or assistance did your wife give you to help you with your eventual game-winning shot?
My wife told me, you better make a shot or you're not coming home tonight. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not. No, she has always helped me, and it was great to see my whole family up there in the stands tonight. My mom's here also, and my kids, and what a thrill. You know, I mean, whoever could have expected this to hit the game-winning shot in the NBA Finals? I mean, this is a joke. I can't believe I'm sitting up here. But I felt their support tonight, my kids and my brother and my mom and my wife. I mean, what a feeling, and they sent some good vibes my way.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Congratulations.
There were so many fans inside the United Center watching Steve Kerr make that game-winning shot. Some of those tickets went for $1,200.
That's right. A lot of fans outside, too.
Now they're all outside.
Didn't get to go inside. Hey, Randy.
I can't hear you anymore. I hope I'm on. Even more amazing than Steve Kerr's shot is the merchandise is already out. Here's the hat. $25 if you like the championship hat. Here's the jersey. Can we get a shot of that, Trip? The jerseys and hats came out, the T-shirts, I should say, 30 seconds after Kerr's shot. What were you inside for the game?
Yeah.
What were you thinking as it came to that last play?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's just an awesome feeling.
How does this compare to the other championship?
It's 5 times better.
Great. Seems to get better each time we talk to this gentleman back here. How does this one compare to the other championship?
I think this is a better championship simply because the Bulls went through it. They had a tough time with the series, but they hung in there. And if you're a true Bulls fan, you know they're going to come through, and they came through tonight for us.
Very good. Well, you know what? It's actually pretty calm outside here other than when the camera lights go on. Maybe about 100 or so people. Most people have left there on their way home. I'm sure as soon as our lights go on, they'll be off. Back to you guys.
All right. I guess that's one of those new shoes he's holding up there. Randy, thank you very much. Outside the United Center, we're joined again by Rich King. Great hearing from Steve Kerr. This is an amazing story in redemption, isn't it? Because he was sort of manhandled throughout the series by John Stockton.
Right. As Steve mentioned, also Dan Rohn earlier, Stockton took him to the cleaners on this series. Had a terrible series, couldn't hit, was out of stride, but came on with the big shot in the clutch. And, you know, Steve, another character on this club, and I mean that in a positive way, obviously not a character like Rodman, but has a lot of character. Here's a guy that's day in, day out grinder, you know, does the shot, fills the John Paxson role, plays tough defense. Phil Jackson, not afraid to use Steve Kerr on defense. He's got this small body, but he does a great job.
Okay, we're going to talk about Kerr some more, but right now Bill Weir is outside the locker room. Let's go back to Bill live again.
Yeah, Steve, actually inside the locker room with Michael Jordan's agent, David Falk, and the entire Falk family. Congratulations to you all.
Thanks very much. An exciting night. My daughter's first trip to Chicago. They picked a good night.
You picked a winner. Talk about your client. You probably spoke to him moments after the big shot of Steve Kerr, but Michael Jordan just huge again in this game.
Well, he had a big shot. He got me with the champagne when I wasn't looking. I wasn't playing very good defense, but I'm thrilled for Michael because this is what you live for. You live for championships. And it's so ironic. The early part of Michael's career, a lot of his critics said he was too individualistic to ever bring a team to a championship. And now that he's in the later stage of his career, they say he's lost some of the very special physical skills that they criticized him for early on. And the only common denominator is throughout his whole career he's won.
Throughout the playoffs, we've speculated about next year. You've said we're going to wait until after the playoffs are done. They're done. Can we talk about next year?
I think it's no secret Michael would like to come back and win number 6. And I think that in his view, he feels that it's important that both Scotty come back. I think he was very effusive in his praise for Scotty tonight. Scotty really came up big in the playoffs this year. And obviously he wants Phil back because he wants stability. He doesn't want to have to go through an adjustment period next year. It's a very difficult personal situation for Michael because he's expressed such a strong continuing loyalty to Jerry Reinsdorf over the last 10 or 11 years. They have a very special relationship. He's not trying to take sides. He's just trying to send a message to Jerry that if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
He actually held up afterwards on the podium, the 5 and then the 6, maybe 7, maybe 8. A multi-year deal, would that be optimal, or is he going to go 1 year at a time?
I think Michael will play as long as he feels they can win, and I don't think he's in it for the money. I think I can make a lot more money if he retired off the court because he gave me 9 free months to sort of do my thing. But I think he wants to continue to play as long as he feels he can win, and I'm just cautiously optimistic that between now and July 1st, when Michael becomes a free agent, that I could sit on the sidelines and watch somebody else negotiate with Jerry Reinsdorf and try to get the deal done.
Well, as for the moment right now, 5 gold rings has a nice ring to it.
It's very special, and I think this year perhaps there's more adversity than any of the championships that he's won. Obviously, his illness the other night. I mean, a lot of us probably wouldn't even have gone to work feeling the way he felt. And he not only went to work and played a great game, but came up with the big shot, which is the true mark of a champion.
Well, thanks for taking the time, David Falk, and on behalf of all of Chicago, Godspeed in the negotiations.
Well, I hope I'm back here next year talking about number 6.
Sounds good. Thanks very much. Steve, we can send it back inside.
All right.
Thanks very much, Bill. Phil Jackson, not really willing to talk a lot about next year, said we're going to talk about the celebration at hand. But Michael Jordan clearly saying, I want to come back.
What an unequivocal appeal that I'm coming back and I want Scotty with me. We were talking about the almost eerie similarities between that game-winning three-point shot that Steve Kerr made and another shot just about, 3 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years
We're
ago?
in Phoenix, and the same kind of guy. Here's
John Paxson.
John Paxson, Steve Kerr, same kind of body, same kind of role, three-point shooters, and also the defensive play. Let's take a look at it. As you all know, back in Phoenix, this is the play. A little bit different because the ball went down, there's a Kerr shot first right down there. As Kerr nails it for a 3, and now coming up after this Kerr shot, here's the Paxson shot. Horace putting it out, and there's Paxson from 3. A little bit different angle, a little bit different look, but the same kind of play. And also, afterward in that game, the same kind of defensive play as John Paxson was mobbed there by his teammates. Watch Horace Grant here as the ball goes in on the feed. They're trying to get it in, Phoenix, but Kevin Johnson, Horace blocks it away, just like tonight when they stole the ball on the inbounds play. A great defensive play. And so 2 similarities there. You got the great shot by similar players, and then a great defensive play to end the game for championships. So kind of eerie, but yeah.
And what a memory! You described that play like you had seen it 5 minutes ago.
Oh, I'll never forget that night, and won't forget this night. It's a great memory. What great memories this club has given us, not only on the court but off the court. The guys they have, the personalities, and the Michael Jordan, Pippen.
Let's talk about Steve Kerr. This is a young man who really has endured some tragedy in his life. As an undergraduate at Arizona.
Yeah,
people may not know about that.
His father was killed by terrorists in the Middle East, and of course, a tremendous tragedy in his life. He's come back, and really a stable citizen. He is one of the stable guys in the club. In fact, we joke around with Steve because he's always available for comments. Some of the players that, in the course of a long season, will hide from the media, which is their right to do. We chase them, but Steve's always out there and available, and we really appreciate that. And he's the kind of stability that club needs. A lot of good character in that club.
He said his family was watching. What a great Father's Day celebration they're going to have.
Can you imagine all that last-second shot? And every kid's dream, every boy, I'm sure every girl's dream, hit the last-second shot in a game. You joke around, and here Steve Kerr comes in, and like Paxson did.
And really, there's a similar in that the old Michael Jordan playbook wasn't going to work this time, right?
Well, he had the good sense. Did you hear what Kerr said? He said Jordan anticipated Stockton getting off Kerr. That's the great Michael Jordan, anticipating things in the huddle, and he says the ball's going to come out to you, and they nailed it. That's vintage Michael.
Right. Not to overlook that Tony Kukoc shot at the end, which added a little bit of insurance.
I'll tell you one more shot in that game. In the third quarter, Judd Bushler hit a 3. Their shot clock was running down. The Bulls were down by about 6 or 7. They wanted to get it close. 1 second to go on the shot clock. Judd Bushler nails a 3. That was a big, big shot. Kept the Bulls close, and it came on in the fourth quarter.
It's fun reliving this stuff.
So many things about this game to celebrate, and there are lots of people out there celebrating.
Let's check in now with Bill Weir, who is outside the Bulls locker room. Hello, Bill.
Hello,
Jerry Orr.
He is outside in the street. I apologize, Jerry Orr. Hello, Jerry.
Well, we're standing outside here. The celebration continues at Addison and Clark. And you're just talking about Steve Kerr's game-winning shot. We have Steve Kerr's look-alike right here.
Oh, thank you. It's too bad we're not celebrating a Cubs World Series tonight, though, Oh, man, here at Kerry, it'd be fun out here tonight.
But your look-alike came through in the clutch.
Oh, he certainly did. Boy, I tell you, it's really exciting, man. We got the greatest team now. We got a generation to come.
All right, we've got a fan with already a championship T-shirt here.
Yeah, fan of the greatest team in the world. Greatest team in the world, the Bulls.
And we're talking about how Jordan's coming back. This is a Jordan. Your name's Jordan.
Yes, it is. My name's Pat Jordan, and it's the greatest team in the world. And Michael Jordan is coming back, and he's going to be victorious once again. Yes, he is.
Sir, they're selling coffee across the street at McDonald's. All right? That's the story from Addison and Clark. Back to you guys.
It looks like that crowd has thinned out a bit, though.
Does anybody know what Jerry Orr was saying there? All you have to do is turn a camera on any one of these locations.
Where he was.
Magnet, that's for sure.
And you draw a big crowd. Well, it's been quite a night, I'll tell you.
It sure has. And you know what? If you thought tonight was a big night, we ought to tell you that Monday is the night that, or Monday is the day, actually, the morning that everyone can get involved, because the Victory Rally is going to be in Grant Park. 10 a.m. Monday morning, the Petrillo Music Show. Of course, WGN will have coverage of that. Our coverage is going to begin at 9 a.m., live coverage from there. General Manager Jerry Krause will be there. Jerry Reinsdorf may be talking a little bit about next year, the players, Coach Phil Jackson.
We'll be there, and we will see you there live. Well, it looked like it was thinning out over there at Wrigleyville. You want to say something?
Yeah, there was some talk about pushing that back to Tuesday during the day because the Cubs Sox have that big interleague debut coming up on Monday, the first matchup between those two teams. But obviously, it is Monday, so there was some talk during the day that they're trying to push it back to Tuesday. But once again, it is Monday.
We'll be updating you, though. Well, okay, it is Monday.
Right.
We saw the ranks kind of thinning out there over in Wrigleyville. Let's check in over in Division Street and find out how it's not thinning out there. Here we are on the ground there on Division Street. Police trying to keep a lid on this as they...
And Marquise.
When you look like... maybe there are fewer people than there might have been 20 minutes ago.
People celebrating here that was fed in from our truck. Hopefully this is what's going to happen on Monday. People are going to be out and celebrating in a pretty positive way. We just see people hugging each other, look at somebody on shoulders.
Division Wells, this is one of the biggest entertainment districts in Chicago, north of the Loop, and this is where everybody comes to gather after the Bulls celebration. A lot of the bartenders had, of course, put on extra bouncers. I think one of them said he had 12 bouncers rather than the normal 3. But it would seem with all this celebration going on in the street, it's not really their problem now.
And those bouncers were in addition to the thousands of Chicago police officers who also are working overtime. Mayor Daley estimated that he spent about $1 million tonight to put extra security out there. And I think that for the most part it worked. And I think also people's attitudes maybe helped a lot.
Well, if there's good news in all this, the Bulls did clinch tonight. That $1 million wasn't for naught, because I think in past years we've seen them spend all of this money. They didn't even call it the National Guard, I think, in previous years, and the Bulls didn't clinch.
Right.
And so they have to wait again. Let's go back to Bill Weir now. I think Bill is outside the locker room with more. Bill?
Yes, that's right, Steve. We've got Luke Longley, the big center, back for his second NBA championship. We're going to poke a microphone in here. And first of all, congratulations, Luke.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah. Very satisfying.
I saw your dad here. The rest of the family on hand as well?
Yeah, they're all here. Dad came up from Australia. Mum lives here in Chicago. They're all, they came last year, so I figured it was good luck.
Is there honking in the streets of Sydney and Perth tonight over something like this?
I hope so. There better be. It's actually this morning in Australia, but they better be honking.
Okay. How does this one compare to last year? Can you even compare the two?
No, not really. Last year was a feeling of destiny. I feel like we should have been there. We should have won it. This year was more of a grind, harder work, and the game was indicative of that. We just sort of scraped out in the end, and that was the way the whole season went.
Well, congratulations. We'll see you at Grant Park.
Good on you. Thanks, mate. All right.
We're going to swing the camera around everybody back there. Michael Jordan has just come out of the trainer's room and is holding a NBA MVP trophy. As you can see, the chances of us actually getting a microphone in there are slim to none. But Michael Jordan enjoying one of his signature post-game cigars. Let's see if I can get a microphone in here. It's going to take some doing to maneuver this crowd, Steve and Dina, so I'm going to send it back to you, and we'll see if we can't wrangle our way in here.
That was a good effort, Bill, though. Thank you.
Put your head down and bulldoze your way through that crowd to the camera. There we go.
Who's your photographer out there? Doing a great job.
The microphone's got to get in.
We can see his face.
Now here comes the fun part of probing the microphone through.
Burrow through there like it was a roto-rooter.
I have been through this many times, so needless to say, and it's a rough assignment getting in there. And there's so many guys around Michael. It's you got to just worm your way in there.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
We heard Michael at the podium, though. As happy as he was, he seemed a bit tired.
Yeah, he was. He was from the Purdue and whatever he had the other night. But he had 39 points, so he on the floor he came around pretty good. But
sent a pretty strong message there to Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yeah, he did. Okay, I guess Bill's going to give it a shot, but he's outflanked by a horde of reporters out there in that Bill's locker room. But Michael,
I can see why people gather around Michael, because he is so eloquent after every game.
Dina, he talks forever, too. He'll be there for another half hour, I bet, answering all the questions he answered, probably duplicate questions at the podium. So here's a guy 6-run all the time and very cooperative. And as you said during the news conference he had, very forthright tonight, very down to earth and very succinct in what he said about the Bulls' future. And he wants everybody back, and even Rodman. I agree with Steve Kerr, though. I think they all will be back, but I think Rodman is iffy because I don't know what his future might be. He says he'll play for nothing because he gets all the endorsements. If that's the case, why not? Why not give it a shot? He's a good rebounder, so maybe bring him back. And he seems to be, for all his antics, if you talk to him on one-on-one, he's not an off-the-wall kind of guy.
No, there's something almost, I don't want to sound like an apologist for him, but there's something rather engaging about him when you see him one-on-one.
I think it's an act. I think it's an act. It's an act with him. Obviously, he's making money on the act, but I think if you got inside of Dennis Rodman, he wouldn't be as wild as the act is. He's making money on it, so he does it, and that's why he does it, but I think he's pretty down to earth.
We heard from some of the players about their feelings about next year. I know Dan Roan talked to Jerry Krause, and we have some tape of that we might want to let you hear right now.
Bulls Vice President of Basketball Operations, Jerry Krause. Hey, congratulations. Just like we said last year at this same spot, congratulations.
That's great. We do this. This is great. This is a great repeat, and I'm just so happy. I'm happy for the fans. They came out tonight. Our fans were better than Utah's fans tonight. They were great. And, you try to make your team as good as your fans are, and tonight the fans were great, and we played great in the situations when we had to, and I was just so tickled pink with our guys and the way everything happened.
It happened just about as great as it could have. I mean, Michael had his usual terrific game, but he was able to find the guy who'd been very quiet in this series, Steve Kerr, for the shot that won the game.
Well, I was thinking about it a little while ago. You always used to find Pax, and we brought Kerr in to replace Pax, and he found Kerr. And that's great because that's the kind of thing you want to do in an organization. Steve Kerr, when he got the ball in his hands, I knew it was going in the basket. He just, the last couple days in practice, I'd be up in my office and we'd finish practice and I'd look out on the practice court and Steve Kerr would be out there working extra and he'd be working on his shooting and we knew he was struggling, but we also knew that he would do it tonight because he's the kind of guy, shooters shoot and great shooters the ball's going to go in the basket for him.
You take your share of heat in this position, and I'm sure you'll take some more between now and July 1st. But I'll tell you what, my hat is off to you for bringing Brian Williams to this basketball team because I don't think we'd be standing here, Jerry, right now if you'd not done that.
Well, thank you. We might not be. Brian's a great guy, and he's a great person. His mother's special lady, Miss Williams, we met her tonight. We met her the other night over in Utah, and she's a great lady. And Brian just done a tremendous job for us. I told him back in December, as you come with us, you're going to get a ring, young man, and we're going to get you what you need, and we're going to get in a win-win situation. We kept after it in December and January and February, and not many people knew what we were doing. We just did it quietly, like we always do it. And certainly on April 1st, when he worked out with us, we knew what we had, and we went ahead and did it.
Well, I hesitate to even ask the next question, but I'm sure you know what it is.
You can ask it, and what I'm going to do is tell you before you ask it that I'm going to have a cigar tonight. I'm going to have a little champagne. I'm going to celebrate with my family. Tomorrow morning, maybe I'll catch a couple bass before I go in the office. I'm just going to relax for a little bit, and then we'll get together and we'll worry about it then. But we're going to celebrate first, and that's what the city of Chicago ought to be doing, celebrating, enjoy the moment. My father, may God rest his soul, he always told me, smell the roses.
Hey, that's okay, buddy. Congratulations, Jerry.
Wow, really choked up there.
I'd say that's the kind of guy he is. He's an emotional guy, and Dan is absolutely right. This man has done an outstanding job. You look at since the Cartwright thing, he drafted Pippen, brought Grant in here. Has been taking shots in the media for many, many years. Hardest working guy I have ever known. Works 12, 15-hour days. Great scout. Judges talent. He brought the people in there this year, the Kerrs and the Bushlers. I remember people laughing about who's Judd Bushler. Well, Bushler played a role. Jerry Krause has done an outstanding job. Has year in, year out. And you got to give him credit.
And he's pounded with criticism.
Well, I think part of it is ridiculous because the way he looks, maybe the physique or whatever. Yeah. But this man is the hardest working guy, as they say. And he's had 5 championship rings now. Why would you rip a guy with 5 championship rings?
He's doing something right.
I mean, yeah, rip a guy doesn't have any.
Talking about late ads, we have Brian Williams in the locker room right now.
Brian Williams talking about his future, perhaps his chances of returning to this team.
Yeah, and he still signed a contract, but he took the gamble, and he got rewarded for it. And there's no guarantee. So
how painful then, if it's not possible for you to return to the World Champions? That has to be a very painful separation. You participated in this great moment when Ron Harper. Speaking of pain,
anyone else ought to kick their ass.
How painful will it be to separate yourself from this incredible team?
Yeah, it is very bittersweet. bittersweet because tonight when I take this jersey off, it'll be the last time.
Wow.
So
amazing.
It's just the way it is.
But now you have one thing that Charles Barkley never has, and that's a ring.
That's right.
So therefore,
and I doubt Charles ever will, unless he comes here next year, from the minimum.
Yeah, you're the great teacher. Brian, there's talk that they might vote you more than one share. A share would be worth approximately $150,000. Have you heard that rumor?
Well, that was something that we did talk about when I came because I was giving up a lot. And, but still, no monetary amount can replace, the validation of being a winner and a champion.
And how about the Monster Slam tonight? That was as ferocious as I've seen, certainly by you.
Well, I was ready to roll. I really wanted to take it from there and, go all out. But, it was obvious that this game was going to be close, whether we liked it or not.
How do you explain Karl Malone?
Brian Williams, let me explain a couple things. First of all, the lipstick on his cheek, obviously the affections of Gene Siskel. And also, he talked a little bit about his future with the Bulls, as Steve and Dina. Salary cap restrictions prevent him from coming back next year. His was a one-shot deal. He sat out most of the season waiting for a team that he wanted a part of. Utah Jazz, actually, one of the teams who offered him a contract, and came in with the Bulls, but it's a temporary deal as part of some of the obscure salary cap rules of the league. He cannot return to this team.
A kiss goodbye, I guess, on his face. Kind of shame.
And it didn't come from Gene Siskel. We'll clear that up, right?
We don't think so.
Well, we're not sure.
Oh, well.
Yeah, he's done a great job, Brian Williams. He's come in, done the job on the boards, provided the Bulls with a lot of muscle underneath, which they needed, of course, and Rodman didn't perform that well, and Luke Longley had to be taken out. So you got to give credit to Brian Williams, the entire crew there for the reserves. The bench came through. Kukoc had a good game tonight. Kukoc had some big shots. So.
Bittersweet, though, for Brian. He won't be back.
Well, he won't be back. As Bill Greer mentioned, the salary cap, he's got to go. That's it. He's out of here. So, but, he's got a memory, right? He's got a championship ring on him, and you got to give him credit, too. And, again, getting back to Krause, I can't say enough about Krause. I've known Jerry for a long time, and he's done a great job.
Assuming the Jordan Pippen nucleus of this team is together next year, how many more seasons can we expect championships?
I remember sitting outside the Berto Live and doing a live shot last year and saying, it looks like one more year for sure, and then outside chance too. Now it looks like one more year to me. I mean,
they're showing their age, aren't they?
Jordan's 34 years old. Pippen's getting up there. Robin's getting up there. It's going to be very difficult beyond one more year. You got to. Jerry Reinsdorf is right. You got to go year to year now, and that's why this whole thing becomes a little bit sticky with money. Because
this question may seem a little out of the blue, but I'm curious. You talk about maybe Dennis Rodman won't be back. Any ideas of who might be able to come in here and replace him?
Oh, they've got Jason Williams type players around the NBA, rebounding type players, and not quite Dennis Rodman's. I guess his outlook in the NBA, his image in the NBA, different kind of image, harder working, Brian Williams types, that kind of player. There's guys out there who can do that. There's some talk, some people were speculating about Barkley coming here a while back, but that would be, Barkley have to take a tremendous pay cut and, that kind of thing.
It'd be a dream come true, wouldn't it?
Right. Well, to play with Jordan the final year, this is a wild thing that came out during the season. But in answer to your question, they can replace Rodman. Although I tell you, if Rodman comes back for very little money, maybe it's worth giving him a shot, because the players seem to like him.
Well, we actually have some tape of Rodman.
Right.
Nick Mitrovic, our sports producer, talked to him tonight. Let's hear what he had to say.
I think it's more gratifying. It's more gratifying, It's satisfying for me to sit a lot of people's mouth for a couple of days, and let me enjoy this. Let me enjoy it for once. Give me some good news.
All right. Well, this is the good news. Kind of weird. Last couple of weeks for this topic, doesn't it? But everyone's saying to you the money. Nothing means nothing.
Nothing means nothing. Like I said, you can ask how many people will play for free next year. I will play for free. Not many people will say that, but I want to be back in Chicago and try to win another one.
What does it say right here? You coming back?
All right, I think I'll come back. Like I said, a lot of guys on the team want me back. Scottie Pippen wants me back. He said that publicly, so hopefully that'll hold some water.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, brother.
How soon can I get you out on the court?
I'm not going for him.
No.
All right.
They're
nice
trying to
way stop the tape.
Stopped him before he said anything controversial.
He's trying to get him out live. That was a taped interview, obviously. But
right.
I hope in a way, he's a difficult guy to cover for us because he's so volatile, and you wind up chasing him around here and there. But the players, as he mentioned at the end, the players seem to like him. And if Michael Jordan and Scottie endorse him, that plays on Jerry Reinsdorf's mind, too, because Jerry Reinsdorf does listen to Michael Jordan, takes his advice very, very seriously.
This is the oldest team in the NBA. That's right.
It is.
It's a story of inspiration for us over 40 guys. Right?
Well, that's true. You know, you like to see when you get up in years like we are, Steve. You like to see that kind of contribution. It is an old team, but the NBA. I don't want to take anything away from the Bulls championship. They have a great year. The NBA is in a down cycle. Once the Bulls do leave, this team leaves, the NBA will have a little rut because. Let's face it, it's hard to replace a Michael Jordan, impossible to replace a Michael Jordan.
Absolutely.
And Shaquille O'Neal's are around, but they're really not the caliber of this ball club and the kind of image it brings to the NBA. So this is a worldwide team with Michael Jordan.
Yes.
And I don't know if you got that with Shaquille O'Neal and the hills of this league, the Grand Hills. It's going to be very difficult to bring the NBA back up to what it is now.
Getting back to this age question, and not to digress too much, but there's a real story here about the changing nature of athletes. They are staying in all these games longer.
The money's there. In Michael's case, that doesn't apply, of course, but the money's there. You've got to stay in shape. And, you know, it's very difficult to retire because when in any business, this is our business, you're going to miss it. And these players want to stick around as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
There's the scene now in the locker room, and Scottie Pippen has a cigar. This is always a wild scene down there because you got champagne flying all over your head. I was down there last year, and very smoky.
Maybe a little more subdued than in previous years.
It seems like it on TV. Yeah, it seems like it on TV, Steve and Dina. But I imagine when you get down there, I remember last year we were waiting for Michael to come out with the trophy, and eventually came out, and everybody started jamming in like you saw Bill Weir do there, and you got microphones in your ears and everything. So it's kind of rough, but. Yeah, I think you ever get tired of winning it when you're a professional athlete.
You keep touching, we touched on money a few times. Michael mentioned, in fact, he's really a funny guy, and he said, he mentioned how much Scotty ought to be making, maybe $30 million or whatever it is I make.
I don't know.
He couldn't remember.
He couldn't remember.
I don't know what they can pay Scotty or Michael, but I'll tell you one thing about Michael. My favorite, if I got 30 seconds to tell a quick Michael Jordan, my favorite Jordan stories in Milwaukee a few years ago, some fans were down below and coming out of a game, try to take a picture of Michael, all right? And the camera jammed. Jammed once, it jammed twice. I thought Michael was going to take off. He grabbed the camera and said, let me fix it for you. Instead, here's a superstar taking time out to try to fix somebody's camera. Wow. I don't know if he knew these people or not, but he's the most gracious person, the most down-to-earth person you'd ever want to meet.
We saw Michael Jordan hug Jerry Reinsdorf as he got off the court. Dan Rowan caught up with Jerry Reinsdorf after that, and let's hear what he had to say.
Yeah, what did they say?
Right. He sure doesn't. Hey, I just heard our guys talking to David Falk. He said negotiations begin with Michael July 1st. He hopes they end July 1st as well.
Well, we've never had long negotiations, and by July 1st, hopefully we'll have everything sorted out. I just want everybody to understand that it's not easy to make the decisions that have to be made. Just think back to the Boston Celtics and what's happened to them. I don't want that to happen to this franchise. So I have to let the emotion pass, and I have to sit down with Jerry Krause and people who advise me and just think about what's best for the Chicago Bulls fans over the long run. And hopefully I can do that in an unemotional way.
It won't be easy, I'm sure. I know a lot of media waiting for you. Get used to it. You're going to make a lot of headlines one way or the other in the next month.
That's true, but I just assumed be on WGN for as long as you want me, because it was WGN that carried that big White Sox win tonight.
That's right. And I wonder how many people in the building even noticed that the scoreboard was frozen in the 6th inning all the way through the celebration.
I know. It kept showing 1-0, but I was sneaking back to catch the TV, so I knew what was going on.
Hey, we'll let you enjoy the basketball part tonight.
Hey, thanks to Jerry Reinsdorf for reminding us that we do have baseball.
Yeah, the Sox won the game 3-1 over the Reds. Albert Bell hit a home run, so things are looking good for Jerry Reinsdorf tonight. His baseball team's not doing that well. They're about 4 games under 500, but his basketball team has won a championship.
Well, you can't have it all.
I guess things have heated up in the locker room right now. Let's go back to Bill Weir.
That's right. We're honored to be joined by the hero of the Game 6, a man who was so humble. It was touching on the podium, you saying, this is a joke. I can't be the hero of this game.
I still don't believe it happened, really. I mean, and it's just one shot. That's the amazing thing about it. Michael and Scotty carry us throughout this whole thing, and then it comes down to one shot, and I make it, and I'm the hero. It's not really fair, but I'll take it.
Hey, who said life was fair?
That's right.
And people felt so much for you, especially considering the finals that you have had. I know you weren't happy with your shooting.
No, I had a tough series, and I really haven't been shooting well. I missed a big shot in Game 4 that could have won the game, and it's been frustrating, but I've tried to maintain my my composure and try to keep my spirits up. And I had a feeling something good might happen. And this is better than anything I could ever expect.
Are you and John Paxson going to start your own little exclusive club?
You know what? John is one of my best friends and my biggest supporter. And he did so much for this team, hit so many huge shots. And his legacy has been awfully tough to live up to. And I actually have felt some pressure to do the same things. And you know, I finally did it tonight. Of course, I got to do it 2 more times to match him, I think.
Well, yeah, he may give you a little grief if everyone suddenly forgets his shots.
That's right. You know, he did it 3 times, and I mean, he did so much more than I ever did. But at least I made 1 shot, and it counted.
This one has got to feel a little bit sweeter than the previous one.
You know what? I'm not going to compare the 2 and rank them. I mean, you know, the only thing that makes it a little better is that I made the shot at the end. I mean, you know, that helps. But both championships, you know, I mean, what thrills, you know, and to do it twice is just amazing.
Well, congratulations to you, and you could run for mayor of Chicago tomorrow and probably win. Enjoy this. We'll see you at Grant Park.
Stay with Daly, all right?